let's you raise a good point. If we step back to sort of the 30,000 foot level and put this in the context of some of the other polls that you've done with regard to optimism about the economy, sort of where the fears are, where does this fit? You know, food inflation, inflation writ large, and cost of living. There are a lot of other issues that are impacting how people think about the economy.
Well, there's a few things based on the Forbes Maru poll that we've already done, actually, and it shows that 6 in 10 people in the United States believe that the economy is on the wrong track. And a lot of that has changed, except some of the underlying issues have caused it now to continue to be more pessimistic, and that a lot has to do with the price of savings that people have. I mean, there's there's a standard of living issue that is interesting because it's different than what we're seeing that the Fed is looking at. I mean, the Fed's brought in interest rates, and we're watching the price of inflation drop, but we'll have a feeling that we're being affected by it in a negative fashion. So, in terms of the context of all of this, food prices are driving a lot of that inflation, but we're not blaming government for it at the moment. We are blaming the government overall for the macroeconomic circumstance.
Well, it's a conversation to be continued, and while food inflation's dropping, it is still with us for various reasons. So thank you for joining us, John. Anything that's on your radar that you would be looking at next in terms of indicators around this area?
Yeah, well, we'll be looking at inflation and how it is affecting Americans. There are people who are clearly struggling, caught between the higher interest rates and also inflation itself. We're looking to see into the households and how they're doing. But there's also another phenomenon that's undergoing a lot of scrutiny in different parts of the world right now. There are young people who actually believe that they have the world by the tail. I mean, it's a very interesting circumstance where almost every other demographic, every social economic factor plays into the rest of the country, and they say, things are not great, but you're getting this really interesting group of young people. Maybe it's because they've come off of COVID and they, were locked down and they feel
young.
Really good.
Define young. Is young like Gen Z, like 20, 21,
yes,
22?
No, absolutely. So what we're seeing is that about a quarter of the 18 to 34 population, in fact, is really robust, very good. But there's the Gen Z group, in fact, that's feeling even more so. And again, we're seeing it in England. We're seeing it in the United States. We're seeing it in Canada. We're seeing it in a couple of other places around the world. And this is this young group of people who were locked down during COVID, didn't have places to go, are within, very confident that the world is pretty good for them. Maybe they're just living at home with their parents and they don't have all the pricing that their parents are. And there is a section of the country, young people in particular, that are pushing up the optimism, and it's a phenomenon we're going to keep our eye on.
I have to ask one more question about that because I'm intrigued. Is that basically ignorance is bliss, or is it rooted in the reality of a relatively healthy job market, perhaps, for them? I mean, I'm curious if it seems misguided to you, that optimism.
Well, I think it's something that everybody's trying to figure out at the moment, but I put it down to the following. If you're young and if you happen to be living with your parents, then you can be having a great summer and a great year, earning money and spending it on all things that other people are spending on to keep you alive. The other thing, though, is I think there may be some exuberance of living for the moment. These are young who probably had a really rough time going to uni, especially doing everything virtual. They've been unlocked from that. They may have their first jobs. They may be out in the marketplace where prices are not too bad for them right now, and they are living for the moment. And I think this is something which we've got to capture, we've got to understand, because it is a phenomenon that we're seeing, and they're just very confident. They may not be as well off as you would think they would be, but they're very confident that they want to move forward, and things are a lot rosier for them than they are for the rest of us.
That's, as a mother of Gen Z, that's good to know. I'll keep that in mind. So thank you for joining us, and I look forward to continuing the conversation, John.